They say dreams are born in the unlikeliest of places, but in the case of Josh Allen, that place was an isolated farm in a tiny California town. Hardly anyone knew his name. College scouts ignored him, and yet today, millions hail him as a football superstar with an almost superhuman arm. He's faced nearly every obstacle a rising athlete could imagine. Dismissals from top programs, injury setbacks, last-minute controversies, and scorching media spotlights. But how does someone go from unrecognized farm kid to one of the NFL's brightest stars, headlining playoff thrillers year after year? Prepare to discover the true story behind Josh Allen's wild ascent, one that's far more complicated and far more dramatic than the highlight reels ever show. Few could have predicted that an NFL powerhouse like Josh Allen would sprout from Firebaugh, a rural Central Valley town with a population of just under 9,000, nestled among cotton fields and dusty roads. Firebaugh wasn't exactly known as a hotbed for professional athletes, but for Josh Allen, this tight-knit community was the perfect training ground, shaping not just his athletic ability, but also his fierce determination. From dawn till dusk, the Allens worked their land. Josh's father, Joel, hustled day in and day out, blazing a path for his family. Farming is a tough life, a life where you don't skip a chore just because you feel tired. That discipline seeped into Josh at an early age. Alongside his siblings, he learned that true success is built when no one's watching, often in places as unremarkable as a dusty cotton field. The farm chores were endless, hacking weeds, moving heavy irrigation pipes, and digging trenches under a relentless sun. Yet these gritty tasks shaped Josh's mindset, instilling the ethic that would propel him in sports. He'd say years later that it was all about wanting to be half the man his father was, but that alone would make him unstoppable. The simplicity of farm life, far from city lights and distractions, gave him time to dream and to develop a passion for sports that stretched well beyond the fences of Firebaugh. That passion had fertile ground to grow. Josh wasn't just a one-sport athlete. He tried nearly everything, from basketball to baseball to swimming. There was no lavish training facility, no flashy private coach, just open fields, a willingness to sweat, and a youthful curiosity that drove him to see how far his talents might go. By the time he entered Firebaugh High School, Josh Allen had started to stand out physically, though he was still far from the mountain of a man we see today. Initially around 6 feet tall, he had a wiry frame and a quiet confidence. While other aspiring quarterbacks might chase every camp and combine, Josh stayed home, juggling farm chores, multiple sports, and the local competitions his town offered. High school football in Firebaugh wasn't exactly a magnet for Division I recruiters. Local rival schools often overshadowed the Eagles, especially a powerhouse named Mendota. Before Allen took the reins, Firebaugh found itself on the losing end of that rivalry year after year. Nobody expected the tide to change so drastically. But once Allen became the starting quarterback in his junior year, the entire dynamic shifted. He exploded onto the scene with accurate throws and the kind of on-field leadership that ignited teammates. By the end of that season, he had led Firebaugh to a winning record, and crucially, a stunning victory against Mendota. Suddenly, people were whispering about this tall, strong-arm quarterback who was rewriting his school's history books. He kept improving as a senior, stringing together weeks of dazzling performances. He threw for over 5,000 yards in his high school career, notched more than 50 passing touchdowns, and single-handedly transformed Firebaugh's reputation. One would think colleges would come running, right? Wrong. The big-time schools weren't convinced. Firebaugh was too small, the competition too questionable. Allen didn't have the usual blueprint of flashy offers. Even scouting services barely took notice. Where was the scholarship from UCLA or the interest from USC? Nowhere in sight. It was as if the rest of the football world was blind to what was unfolding in that tiny town. Despite the snub, Allen never let self-doubt take root. He had a fire in him that no external validation could ignite or extinguish. He publicly stated a nearly outlandish goal: "I'm not stopping until I hit the NFL." If that sounded crazy, well, only time would tell. A junior college just an hour away from Firebaugh, Rodriguez saw something in Allen, something beyond the standard metrics that had led other programs to pass. When zero Division I offers rolled in, Josh Allen had a choice: give up on the dream team or find another route. Enter Ernie Rodriguez, offensive coordinator at Reedley College, a junior college just an hour away from Firebaugh. Rodriguez saw something in Allen, something beyond the standard metrics that had led other programs to pass. So Josh enrolled at Reedley, albeit as a backup quarterback. Early on, he was overshadowed by more highly touted players, yet fate and a growth spurt soon opened the door. Surging from 6'2" to around 6'5", he added noticeable muscle. By the time Reedley's starter stumbled, Allen was ready to seize his shot. In his very first JUCO game, he announced his arrival in dramatic fashion by rushing for 4 touchdowns. Over just 10 games, he piled up over 2,000 passing yards and 26 total touchdowns, fueling Reedley's offense to become one of the best in the state. But even this success didn't translate into a sudden wave of Division I offers. That's when Josh took a bold, unorthodox approach, cold emailing universities himself: Alabama, Oregon, Fresno State, Washington. He sent them all meticulously crafted messages, linking highlights and inviting coaches to see what they were missing. Of course, the responses were mostly silence. Eventually, 2 programs showed interest: Eastern Michigan and Wyoming. But there was a twist. Wyoming coaches initially scouted Reedley for one of Josh's teammates. They wouldn't even extend a scholarship to Allen until another quarterback they wanted chose Syracuse. Eastern Michigan, on the other hand, gave Josh a verbal offer but quickly retracted it once they heard he was visiting Wyoming. For most young quarterbacks, that might feel like another crushing blow. Not for Allen. This only strengthened his resolve. He recalled every rejection, especially from the nearby Fresno State Bulldogs, a program he grew up idolizing. Fresno State had told him, in so many words, "We've already got our guy." That sting of rejection would stay with him for years. Allen touched down in Laramie, Wyoming in 2015 with the biggest chip on his shoulder possible. He arrived on campus unheralded, overshadowed by more celebrated recruits. But Wyoming head coach Craig Bohl had a history with strong-arm quarterbacks. He knew raw potential when he saw it. Fate wasted no time testing Allen's resilience. In the second game of the 2015 season, ironically against Eastern Michigan, an awkward collision left his collarbone shattered in 7 pieces. 13 plays in, his first major college opportunity went up in smoke. Instead of sulking, Josh used his medical redshirt year to bulk up, master the offense mentally, and wait for a second chance. He returned in 2016 with a vengeance, starting every game and putting the Mountain West on notice. Suddenly, Wyoming was an explosive force, notching thrilling wins against ranked opponents like Boise State. Allen threw for more than 3,000 yards and totaled over 30 touchdowns, flashing unstoppable moments that had NFL scouts drooling. But cracks showed too. He completed only 56% of his passes and threw 15 interceptions. Critics branded him too raw and too reckless. The moniker stuck, but so did the hype surrounding his monster arm. After that season, Allen flirted with declaring for the NFL draft. Even some sports analysts speculated he might be a first-rounder. In the end, Coach Bohl swayed him to return, telling him he needed more polish if he wanted a lasting professional career. So Allen suited up for 2017, now burdened by the weighty label of future top pick. Statistically, his final college season was underwhelming at first glance. Wyoming lost key talent to the NFL, so early games were riddled with struggles. Allen faced stout competition in Iowa and Oregon, finishing some games with under 100 passing yards. Still, when the chips were down, he showed glimpses of brilliance, leading comebacks and showcasing clutch play. By season's end, Wyoming fans knew they had a generational talent, even if the stat sheet gave cynics more ammunition to question his accuracy. Rumors of Allen being selected first overall started swirling early, yet skepticism ran rampant. Was he just another big-armed gunslinger who'd fold under the NFL's relentless pressure? NFL draft experts couldn't agree. Some pegged him as the next John Elway. Others compared him to Jamarcus Russell. The only thing that was certain, he was about to find out exactly where he stood in the pros. The 2018 quarterback draft class was stacked with big names: Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Lamar Jackson, Josh Rosen. Each prospect had a story, and the media went wild trying to predict who'd become the next face of a franchise. Allen was the biggest wild card of the bunch, a raw athlete with rocket arm highlights but also inconsistent completion rates. Then, just before the draft, accusations surfaced about Allen's old social media posts from high school. Some claimed they contained offensive language. The controversy flared on sports talk shows and online forums. People questioned if NFL teams might shy away from a potential PR nightmare, but behind the scenes, signs the Buffalo Bills had made up their minds. Buffalo traded up to the 7th overall pick to grab Allen, believing that the raw tools overshadowed any short-term risk. Cynics immediately blasted the move. They mocked his 56% completion rate, insisting that wouldn't translate to the NFL. Others pointed to the controversies that might damage his locker room rapport. But for Bills brass, the decision was simple. Bet on the enormous upside. They'd mold him, refine him, and hope he'd evolve into their next Jim Kelly. Allen arrived in Buffalo with something to prove, both on and off the field. He apologized for his past, attributing those questionable social media posts to youthful ignorance. Then he turned his focus to the football field. Yet the beginning of his pro career would be every bit as rocky as the skeptics predicted. The 2018 season opened with a clank for the Bills. In week 1, head coach Sean McDermott started Nathan Peterman, a quarterback known more for tossing interceptions than touchdowns. Sure enough, Peterman melted down, forcing Buffalo to insert Allen mid-game. Fans got their first real look at the rookie in a disastrous 47-3 loss. Hardly the dream debut. Though raw, Allen showcased glimpses of a bright future. He moved outside the pocket effortlessly, scrambled for first downs, and threaded the needle on the occasional highlight reel pass. But with those shining moments came the interceptions, inaccurate throws, and questionable reads. By the end of 2018, Allen had more picks than passing touchdowns. Critics gleefully predicted Buffalo was doomed to mediocrity. Behind the scenes, Allen refused to cave to negativity. Between games, he studied film obsessively, linking up with coaches and mentors who specialized in quarterback development. Buffalo fans, long accustomed to heartbreak, crossed their fingers that this kid was worth the gamble. The Bills finished 6-10 out of the playoffs. Still, there was optimism that better days might lie ahead. In 2019, that optimism sprouted results. The Bills orchestrated a remarkable turnaround, finishing 10-6 and clinching a playoff berth. Allen cut down on interceptions, refined his pocket presence, and improved his completion rate by a notable margin. He also remained a lethal threat on the ground, punching in rushing touchdowns at pivotal moments. Though Buffalo lost a back-and-forth wildcard battle with Houston, the seeds of a special future had taken root. In 2019, that optimism sprouted results. The Bills orchestrated a remarkable turnaround, finishing 10-6 and clinching a playoff berth. Allen cut down on interceptions, refined his pocket presence, and improved his completion rate by a notable margin. He also remained a lethal threat on the ground, punching in rushing touchdowns at pivotal moments. Though Buffalo lost a back-and-forth wildcard battle with Houston, the seeds of a special future had taken root. Then came 2020, the year Josh Allen officially announced himself to the league as a legitimate star. The Bills acquired Stephon Diggs, an elite wide receiver who meshed instantly with Allen's deep ball prowess. Suddenly, the once laughable Bills were 13-3, crowned AFC East champions for the first time since 1995. Allen piled up over 4,500 passing yards, 37 passing touchdowns, and 8 more on the ground. He looked unstoppable. Sports analysts who once panned the Bills for drafting him were forced to eat their words. Allen earned Pro Bowl honors and finished second in MVP voting, trailing only Aaron Rodgers. The playoffs brought a wave of euphoria to Buffalo, a city starved for postseason success. After toppling the Colts and the Ravens, Allen led the Bills to the AFC Championship game. Hopes soared, but the Kansas City Chiefs, led by Patrick Mahomes, proved a formidable hurdle. Buffalo fell short, dealing Allen a fresh dose of playoff heartbreak. The playoffs brought a wave of euphoria to Buffalo, a city starved for postseason success. After toppling the Colts and the Ravens, Allen led the Bills to the AFC Championship game. Hopes soared, but the Kansas City Chiefs, led by Patrick Mahomes, proved a formidable hurdle. Buffalo fell short, dealing Allen a fresh dose of playoff heartbreak. Despite the loss, one thing was clear. Buffalo had found their franchise quarterback. The Bills rewarded Allen with a whopping 6-year contract extension worth $258 million. At the time, it made him the second highest paid player in the league behind only Patrick Mahomes. Critics who once laughed at Allen's inaccuracy faced the reality of a quarterback poised to dominate for years to come. But life in the NFL is never a smooth trajectory. Even as the Bills racked up wins, the public microscope focused more intently on Allen. Every misread, every missed throw, every tough playoff exit. In a divisional matchup against the Chiefs that became an instant classic, Allen was unstoppable in the final minutes, yet the Bills still lost in overtime, never touching the ball after Mahomes won the coin toss. Fans raged at the league's playoff rules, birthing what many dubbed the Josh Allen rule, ensuring both teams get a chance in overtime during postseason games. While 2021 and 2022 brought more winning records and deeper playoff runs, the one stumbling block remained the same: getting over the hump against the NFL's best when it mattered most. And with success came rumors about friction with teammates, about whether Stefon Diggs was truly happy in Buffalo, about internal disagreements over strategy. One moment in particular caught fire. Then there were tabloid-style whispers about Allen's personal life. Breakups, potential endorsements, swirling talk that he was losing focus. Some alleged tension in the locker room over perceived favoritism. The swirling controversies have never been conclusively proven, but the chatter has often been loud enough to distract fans and fuel critics. Allen, typically calm in front of the cameras, rarely addresses these rumors directly. Instead, he focuses on the Bills' perennial quest for that elusive Lombardi trophy. Meanwhile, the Buffalo faithful remain torn between unwavering confidence in their star quarterback and the painful memory of perennial near misses. Can he do it? Will the Bills ever dethrone the Chiefs or Bengals? Is this the year they finally break the curse? The questions hang in the air, fueling online debates and talk radio segments every week. Still, Allen himself continues to rack up mind-boggling stats. Another 4,000-yard passing season here. Another batch of highlight reel runs there. Pro Bowl invites, MVP chatter. He's become one of the NFL's top jersey sellers and the face of a franchise whose fan base is among the league's most passionate. And through it all, that farm-bred humility peeks through every time he cracks a grin or deflects praise onto his teammates. Josh Allen's story is a testament to perseverance and the power of self-belief. From pushing wheelbarrows under the scorching California sun to commanding the bright lights of primetime NFL games, his journey remains one of the most improbable in modern football. Dismissed as too raw, overshadowed by questionable controversies, and surrounded by swirling rumors, Allen keeps proving that determination and talent can outshine any label. Yet for all his success, the biggest question still looms. Will Josh Allen lead Buffalo to a Super Bowl championship, or will the window slip shut before he can seize it? One thing's for sure, the same drive that pulled him off a humble cotton farm and into the national spotlight isn't going away anytime soon. Allen has already done the unthinkable by silencing almost every doubt hurled his way. Now, it's just a matter of whether he can carry the Bills to a place their fans have dreamed about for decades. No matter where his story goes from here, one lesson is already crystal clear. Never count out a dreamer with a chip on his shoulder, especially if that dreamer has an arm so powerful it can launch footballs into the stratosphere, and an unwavering belief forged by back-breaking farm work and a relentless desire to succeed. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the most inspiring stories come from the most unexpected places. What's next for Josh Allen? Only time will tell, but if his journey so far is any indication, you won't want to miss what happens next. Subscribe for more insight on the NFL and their top players.